is written. So in order to develop those hypotheses, clearly profound knowledge is required and impatience with the status quo. So here are some of the qualities these people must have. The obstacle, again, is not enough key thinkers. I had a executive vice president say to me, this was a year-end review, it was not quite 2 months ago. It was a good result. They'd saved tons of money. Across the board, they'd improved. But he was very reflective, and he said, you know, we do not have enough key thinkers. So he's starting to understand just what the potential is and how much money they left on the table, how much lead time they could have saved, and so on. So his impatience is a very good sign. Now, third step is the check phase, wherein we make problems visible. And check entails a number of qualities. Key point to answer is, what are the hot spots and what are we doing about them? And the mental model here, that problems are gold, and our check process needs to make them visible. The obstacles here, first of all, not recognizing that this is the most common failure mode in enterprise PDCA. And in getting the right things done, I call check the ugly duckling. We think it's a trivial job, but PDCA fails most commonly in checking. Secondly, checking is a part of your standardized work as a leader. So what's the purpose? What's the process? What's the expected outcome? What's the timing? That comprises your check process. So if you have good answers to those questions, and to Takashi's question, then your meetings will be effective. We'll identify hotspots. We will talk about what's important. We may not get to root cause, but we're way ahead of the game. So the relevant image is a series of gears. Just very quickly, the site check adjust meeting informs and drives the department check adjust meeting, which does the same for the section meeting, which might be at a team board in the pharmacy at the beginning of the day. What happened yesterday? What did we learn? What's in the pipeline for today? Heads up, and so on. Similarly, leader standard work comprises layered checking. That fractal image, my Gemba time is structured. I'm looking for how we might improve our material system. What is the quality of our machine system? So I'm zooming out, zooming in thereby. Now, adjust means problem solving. Here's how problems are distributed in most companies. A few big ugly ones, more medium-sized ones, and then many, many small ones. Strategy deployment entails creating this image here. What are the 2 or 3 things we'll focus on, like Kasparov? What Kaizen activities, action plans do we need? And what will be our emphasis on the front line? The obvious obstacles here are not enough problem solvers. We don't develop that capability. We haven't thought as leaders that my job is to develop capability. By the way, I would paraphrase Jim's earlier comment. A leader's job is A, to deliver business results, B, to develop capability, machine capability, process capability, and people capability, and third, to reinforce values. The latter, because without that, you lack constancy of purpose. So failure modes, not enough problem solvers, not enough key thinkers, so we don't identify the 2 or 3 things that are important. So here's some very quick photographs. This is what the strategy deployment looks like in practice. Here's a company with 3 major focus areas at the top and a number of baby A3s. Here's another company showing their true north, their 5 focus areas, and dashboards, the necessary and sufficient metrics. Usually the dashboard is on the back of the A3. If we zoom in here, the key thinker for cost is the CFO, and this is her hypothesis from 3 years ago, and it was, if we engage our people in waste reduction, we will achieve X amount of savings. So she developed, jointly with a lean director, a quick and easy Kaizen called Ring Out the Waste. I won't go into the details, but each department takes part of that gap, and thereby they develop problem solving. The bottom third of this board is their problem solving activity, and here's their problem solving A3. And here's part out is a key problem for them. Here's an example of how regular people are applying the scientific method. Now, the learning point is, Diane wrote this paper 3 years ago when her capabilities as a key thinker was okay. Now she's gotten much better because she's been working at it for 3 years. Now she's zooming out and saying, you know, the way we schedule is costing us a fortune. We've got 2 or 3 times as much inventory as we need, both work in process and finished goods. Now, why is that happening? And she's asking questions about design and how we design not just products but materials, so machinery. So she's deepening her knowledge. Her hypotheses will get better and better. Okay. So, quick summary. What are some of the obstacles to getting the right things done? Weak hypotheses. Root cause, not enough key thinkers, not enough Gemba activity, and not knowing what to look for in the Gemba. Possible countermeasures clearly are self-explanatory. Develop key thinkers, use standard work to make go-see activity more powerful. Too many activities. Root cause, not grasping the situation. So please push back at those strategy meetings. Say, I don't get it. I don't see the link. I don't think we're at root cause. Third point, we can't sustain the gains. As a couple of speakers pointed out, we have buffered our management team with finished goods or with capacity or with lead time, expedite. So their muscles might be weak. Sustaining the game is the most difficult thing. So how will we how will we build people's muscles? Short answer, in the short term, we may need a Kaizen promotion office. We certainly need a plan for every person. And other obstacle, a team is not engaged. In other words, I don't know what this means for me. Nobody comes to the Gemba. Nobody has asked me, what do you think? What's your hypothesis? This is all abstract to me. You're asking me to do something. I don't know what you're talking about. And metrics, of course, too many, too complex. And Takeshi talked about boiling the 50 down to 3. So I'll take 2 minutes to just summarize a key enabler. One thing that you can do and a good countermeasure to many of these, and it's called leader standard work. Why should you care? Because what you do as a leader is what you get. It's the iron law of management. What you do is what you get. If you are unfocused, if you lack standards, if your process is invisible, and so on, that's what you'll get on the front line. And leader standard work entails applying the scientific method to your work. Now, most leaders' work can be grouped as follows. There are 4 quadrants, 1, 2, 3, and 4. The tension, there is tension between 2 and 4, or 2 and 3 rather. 3 is urgent but not important, people yelling this and that. You've got to do something. The firefighting cycle begins. The top, the number 2, is where strategy making and system building happens. We have to find time for number 2. And that's where leader standard work is so important. The benefits are that with more system development time, process time, Gemba time, reflection time, we will have fewer fires, which means we have more time to do the above, which means we get into a benevolent cycle as opposed to the vicious cycle so many companies are in. We don't have time for improvement, which means we have more fires, which means we have no time for improvement, which means we have more fires. It just grinds us into the ground. So how do we make up time? There are a number of ways of doing this. Some companies have golden zones, times when you cannot schedule anything. And there are other countermeasures. So in summary, these are hard times, but it's hard times that show us what we are. So you have a very profitable difficulty facing you. So how you translate that will determine who you are in 5 years. So good luck. Thank you.